I think it's a great opportunity to pick a pop check. And shall we spin the wheel?
Let's spin the wheel.
Let's see here.
I need it to be, and it is. It's
Dr.
Dr.
Greg
Greg
Popcak.
Popcak this morning. Good morning, Greg. How are you this morning?
I'm well. The suspense was killing me, guys.
Greg, I wanted to ask you.
I was like, I hope it's me. I hope it's me. Otherwise, we're going to have a really difficult segment. But
Yeah, that's right, yes.
I'm really excited about your topic this morning because I think it's so appropriate for where so many people are at right now. In the midst of difficulty, in the midst of loss, how in the world do we connect with God? How do we begin to hear his voice and find comfort in the midst of that difficulty?
Yeah, it's a huge question, of course. But I think that there are some simple ways some tips that we can apply to make it a lot easier to tune into God's voice and know what he's asking us to do. And so, first of all, I just want to kind of address this assumption that we all kind of unconsciously have that God is present when things are good, but somehow he's absent when things aren't good. Right? When we're going through difficult times, he's sort of gotten distracted by all the things going on over in that corner of the world, and he's forgotten about us somehow. And, it's easy to think that way, but really it's important to recognize that God is always present, even in our suffering. And how we can hear his voice and kind of tune into that is by asking kind of two simple questions. The first one is, what's the healthiest way I can either reduce or respond to the pain that I'm in? And secondly, what small, reasonable steps could I take to make this situation a little healthier or holier? Now, as we prayerfully reflect on those two questions, the thoughts that we get are not just our thoughts. They're coming to us from God, because as Christians, we don't believe that we can do anything good on our own, right? And so God doesn't have a voice per se. He speaks through experience. So God's voice is our healing. Right? And when we go through difficult times, as we listen to those thoughts or those voices in our head that say, do this to address the problem, or take a step in this direction, or you can grow this way, or make meaning out of it in this way, that's actually the Holy Spirit speaking to us. And we can get kind of caught up in the, whose voice is that? Is it my voice? Is it somebody? But if the voice is pointing, and this is really St. Ignatius of Loyola's point, if the voice or the feeling or the impulse is pointing us toward God, toward healing, toward wholeness or holiness, it is the prompting of the Holy Spirit. And we should go with that. Of course, we continue to test it and pray about it, but that's the direction we need to be going in. How can I respond to this in a way that would either reduce the pain or reduce the problem, or enable me to respond to it in a way that makes it a little healthier or holier?
Yeah, and I love that. And look, I have to tell you, and I'm like everyone, I've had a couple of very difficult experiences in my life, and I don't look forward to them. But at this point in my life, having gone through a couple, the one thing I know I will have is this intimacy with God that I don't have at any other time in my life. If I would just allow myself to receive it, he'll walk with me in a way that I don't get to walk with him during the normal, everyday path of life.
Well, yeah, and that's the other part of this, where we have a tendency to think that, okay, I've given this to God, right? I've brought the problem to him, and I've put it in his lap, and then it ends back up in my lap. And so I think, well, gosh, did I not pray properly? Did God not like my prayer? What's going on? And the metaphor I like to use for this is, I remember, when I was a kid, I had terrible math anxiety, and I just did not enjoy math class at all. But so I would sit there in front of my homework, and the page would just swim in front of me, and I'd just freak out. And I wanted nothing more than my parents to come and give me the answers, to all the questions on the paper. And of course, they wouldn't do that, but they would sit with me, and they'd walk me through the steps. And they'd say, okay, so what's the next number? Okay, so what's the next thing you do? And in that process, not only did I learn how to do my math, I drew a lot closer to my mom and my dad for walking me through that and helping me. And it's exactly the same thing with these difficulties in life. God doesn't just give us the answers all the time, but he will sit with us and walk with us and guide us step by step, because he wants us to grow in the abilities that he's given us so that we can really be partners with him in building his kingdom. But even more importantly, so that we can learn to grow closer to him through it, just like you were saying, Dave. And so as he doesn't give us the whole answer, not because he doesn't love us or because he's not merciful, but because he wants to walk with us step by step to help us become more competent and help us grow in that relationship with him so that we can come out the other end feeling better about ourselves and closer to him.
So true. And, of course, we all do go through these trials, these tribulations, these difficult times and tragedies. And it's easy to lose track of where God is in those moments because you really kind of have to almost train yourself for that, right? I mean, you have to be humble enough to accept his grace.
Well, and here's the other part of it, and we have a tendency to kind of be very passive in the face of these big things that happen to us because we feel powerless. We feel like there's nothing we can do about it. We just have to let them happen. But here's the truth. Again, going back to my original point that we tend to think that God's present when things are good and absent when things are bad. The truth is, in the Christian story, everything's supposed to be awful all the time. Right after the fall, everything was messed up eternally. But the fact that anything is good at all is because God has been working from that very first moment to bring order out of chaos and healing out of pain and peace out of conflict. And he's continuing to do that and working through us to do it. So when we experience problems, it's not that God sent them to us, of course. It's that he's giving us an opportunity to work with his grace to set this corner of the world right. And so the question is, how can I respond to this suffering? How can I respond to this pain? How can I address this problem in a way that will glorify God, that will bring out the best in me, and hopefully lovingly challenge the people around me to be their best too? And if I can take that more active approach, then I can see where God is trying to move me through this a little bit more clearly and feel a little more confident in my ability to respond to it and the fact that God is working with me and in me and through me to help me respond to it well.
Mm-hmm. And there's the story everybody knows about the footprints in the sand. You get to the difficult time where God is carrying you. And to your point, he could carry you. He's still expecting something of you, right? I mean, he still wants you to respond to what he's offering to you.
Yeah, and I think that's a very comforting image, of course. But I think more often than not, what he's doing is he is actually teaching us how to walk, over that difficult terrain, because he wants our legs to get stronger and our feet to get, calluses on our feet to get a little thicker. And so, because he wants us to build the kingdom with him, and that requires work. And, nobody likes work. I don't like to exercise, but, when we do those things, we get stronger. And we become more capable and more able to use the gifts we've been given to bless others. And that's exactly what God is calling us to in all of this, to work with him, to bring healing to the suffering.
I love it. Dr. Greg Popcak, and, of course, at 10 o'clock, More to Life with you and Lisa, and Finding Forgiveness today. So that's going to be something that we all want to tune in for. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. God bless, guys.